All right, so I'm gonna have to rearrange this a little bit because it looks a little weird to me. So let me just fix this real quick and then bada bop boom, bring this over here. Pow. Okay, sweet. Now I can just pull this up. All right, so sweet, amazing. I'm gonna have to rearrange this a little bit. Okay, cool. So what's up, guys? Chris and Ninja here, and welcome back to Study Sessions. Today we're going over goodness gracious. So today we're going over the binary system. One of you viewers a few weeks ago asked me to cover this, and I wasn't able to until now because I have other classes, and those kind of take precedent for studying purposes. Um, yeah. So I haven't been able to really do any of the requests yet. But if you have a subject that you'd like me to cover, if I know anything about it, I'll cover it. Just drop in the chat, drop a comment, do something like that. I'll get y'all covered. Um, Before we get started, I want to just give like a quick little apology. I've been a little off um past few days, and it may or may not have affected my content, and it also has definitely affected like me streaming as often as I could have over the break. But sometimes life happens and can't always avoid that. So that being said, let's hop into the binary system. So uh, housekeeping taken care of and all that. So the binary system is a very simple number system that's actually able to get very complex very quickly. It consists of a zero and a one, or a one, or a one, depending on who you ask. Um, it really does depend on who's doing it, but yeah, we're just gonna roll with that. So I forgot who asked me for this. I think it might have been Cyan or it might have been Crimson. I forgot which one it was. It was over a month ago. I can't remember it all. I can't remember like small, minute details like that. Um, but the binary system, it's zeros and ones. So now all of you on the stream or whoever watches afterwards, y'all can get the joke. There are types of people in this world. There are uh, this little fun binary math joke. It's really not that funny. Shout out Dr. Porter, one that introduced me to it. Uh, but yeah, basically, someone who doesn't know binary would read this as there's 10 type of people. There are 10 types of people. But when in binary, since there's only zero and one, in order to get larger numbers such as two or a million, you have to add bits to it. So you have this defined um, term known as bits. Let me just zoom in a little bit so I can isolate this. So the term you have the defined term of bits, and this is this, or I guess I should say the representation of one digit in binary. And since binary is a two number system, you have to know the two powers. So I'm going to call this like two power, or I'm going to call it binary, a number system that works in two power. Now, what do I mean by it works in powers of two? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, even though nobody's in the chat asking questions because, I'm just doing this for why am I here? To teach electrical stuff. But what is a two power? So a two power is when you raise two to any n number is a two power. Now, it can also be referred to as base 10 or I mean base 2. And in the decimal system where we count like 0 to 9, that's the decimal or that's the base 10 or decimal system. So 10 and base 10. So just like in base 10, if you were to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 to the first power is 10. But 10 to the zero power is 1. So you have 0 being 0 and then 1, 2, 3. Y'all to the point 1 would be no, no, no. Forget I said that. Base 10, you count all the way up to 10. But in base 2, you just get to go 1, 2, and then it restarts. But since we started 0, so actually let me draw this in a different color so it's a little bit easier for y'all to grasp the concept. In base 2, we have 0 and 1, which is what I said at the very beginning of the stream, if y'all didn't catch it. So this is how we this is 10 numbers. This is 2 numbers. I know y'all know how to count. Look, I know you know how to count. This is just for illustrative purposes for those who may not have taken any math courses or anything like that earlier in their days. Trust me, it'll get really weird really fast. So if I were to want to count, if I were to want like 16, well, you need to know what like how to get to 16. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. Then 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. Since we only have 0 and 1 to work with, we need to make sure that the value that we're getting has it either ends with a 1 or hold on, let me shift this 1 or 0. So it must end in 1 or 0. That's just how binary just works. There's not much I can do to change that. I wish I could, but that's just not how binary math works. So sorry to break it to you. Sorry for all you math nerds and two enthusiasts out there. But as you can see here, it took us 4 divisions to get 16 down to either 1 or 0. An instance where we would have 0, like an instance where we would have 0 is if we had like 17 divided by 2. That's like 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. You take the half out. The half out is 0.5, and then you just take the 0 from the 0.5, and that gives you a 0. That's your 2 to the 0 bit per se. I don't know how I'm going to explain this. Oh well, we'll figure it out together. So you realize that there's 4 2s to get 16 down to break like 16 to break down into 1. So that means that we have 2 raised to the 4th power because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2, the same thing, 8, and then 8 times 2. Hold on, me. This is weird because like I have to scroll opposite to like what my brain is thinking. Um, 16. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 16. So 2 to the fourth. In binary, we would write that as we'd have to write it in 5 bits because it starts at 0. So you have 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 squared, 2 cubed, and then 2 to the fourth, and that gives us 1. So every tick of this binary count right here represents represents 1 bit changing at a time. You can only change, you can essentially only change 1 bit at a time. So if I were to write this number here, um, so if I were to write this number here, this is equivalent to 22 because I have 2 to the first, so 2. I have 2 to the I have 2 squared, which is 4, and then I have 16 here. So 16 plus 4 plus 2, 20 plus 2, 22. That's how that kind of works right there. Um, yeah, so that gives you 22. One thing you can do, here's a side note that will help you in the future. Anytime I can write the well, zoom in right here. Anytime a binary number ends in 0, it is even. How did I figure that out? Well, one, Dr. Porter told me. Can't get much simpler than that. But to break it down to the second most simple stage of it, um, 2 to the 0 is 1. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So if you add any even number, so let's say I have like 86 plus 1, 87, that is now an odd number. But if I have like any even number plus another even number is going to be still an even number. It's just kind of how math works. I don't think anyone has any questions about this, but yeah, just how math works. Anyway, so with that taken care of, now we have a what can I teach next? What can I hit next? So now we have like the basics of binary down. I guess I should teach you what like the different uh terminology that binary uses. So I already taught you bits. The next thing is bits, words. What is it again? I think it goes bits. I think it's bytes next. So a byte is 8 bits grouped together. So bytes, 8 bits grouped together. Then you have half words. Is a half word 8 bytes grouped together? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know it's a thing. What is a half? So a half word is 2 bytes. 2 bytes. That means a full word is 4 bytes. Now, for the most parts of your life, you'll never really have to worry about what a word, half word, full like double word, and I don't even know if there's a sentence in binary. I don't know. For the most part, you'll be working in bits and bytes. Everything is measured in bits and bytes for the most part. You have gigabits, kilobytes, terabytes, terabits. No one ever says like a tera word. No one says tera word or giga word or whatever. Nobody says any of that. But it's important to know because if you have it on a test that comes up one day, like, oh, I have 1.5 words worth of space to fill in this data, or I have 16 bits and uh what is the largest equivalent value that I can put 16 bits in? Well, if 8 bits is a singular byte and 2 bytes are a half word, then 16 bits two would give you one half word. Uh yeah, so cool. Um hope that made sense. Um so in engineering and science, I guess, I guess I won't exclude the scientists this time, even though they do all the work and then we steal all the work and just say like, oh yeah, we know how to do it, like we build it. Like they do all the hard math equation stuff. We just put it together. And I say like we just put it together. We do the hard part. It's easy to figure out like, oh, let me find the equation and find out why this works. And then they give it to us and we test it and it doesn't work. And we have to say, you forgot to account for insert random natural occurrence law here. Oh, perfect. Don't worry. I'll go back and fix it. And then they go back and fix it. And then we work on it and we're like, okay, cool. Except for this other naturally occurring disaster that happens every single time we do something. And then they say, oh, our bad. And then, we just say, you know what, we'll take it from here. And then we just build something to account for it. My engineering professors would be so like proud and disappointed at the same time hearing this type of stuff. Oh well. Anyway, uh what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So you have your prefixes. So I'm just gonna go down the list from largest to smallest that I can remember. You have Tera. I think it's Giga is next, then Mega. I'll draw their symbols in next to them uh in a different color. You have Mega, then you have Killa, Kilo or Killa. It doesn't really matter. Like it's technically Kilo, but doesn't really matter. You have Base, which would just be like 5 bytes. That would be base. Um, then you have milli, micro, nano, and pico. So Terra is big T, Giga's big G, Mega's big M, Kilo's big K. Base has nothing. Base is just normal. There's no one cares about base. Sorry, Megan Trainer. It's not always about that base. I'm not sorry for that joke. M, little m, you have the Greek symbol mu, which is confusing for some people. It's mu. It's hard to conceptualize, but it's mu. This is mu. Nano, which is a small n, and pico, which is a small p. All of these are denoted with 10 to the 12th, 10 to the 9th, 10 to the 6th, 10 to the 3, base 10. Just stick with me. Stick with me here. 10 to the minus 3, 10 to the minus 6, 10 to the minus 9, and then 10 to the minus 12. Now, I know I'm saying 10 to the all this stuff, but technically in binary it's 2 to a bunch of stuff, but that's not important. Look, it's important. Look, y'all. That's not the big concept I'm trying to build up here. The big point that I'm trying to make here, the big point here is pay attention to these numbers here. Pay attention to those numbers. Those numbers are the important numbers that actually matter and stuff when it comes down to actual um, calculations and things like that. Let's see. Let's see. Um, okay, so let's switch gears and let's get into the other binary centric forms of counting. So there's other forms that use a similar kind of like binary structure. You have hexadecimal and you have octal. Now, granted, octal is not used very often. Octal is a very rare one to be used, but hexadecimal, you've seen it 1,000 times. You've seen it a million times. Once you, if you're watching this live or if you watch this like later on, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go and look at your microwave. And if your microwave has a display that looks like this for the clock, if your microwave clock looks something like that, congratulations, you've seen hexadecimal in action. That's a really good drawing. That's really good. Man, I'm cracked at this, bro. So this is called a 7-segment display. Sometimes there'll be a period, sometimes there won't be, sometimes there'll be dots or colons. The important part is that this is 7-segment display. There's 7 segments. You have, I think it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's how it's numbered. Doesn't really matter how it's numbered. Well, it kind of does matter how it's numbered because in hexadecimal, you have to account for different values, but don't trip over it too much. Don't trip too much. So hexadecimal is a kind of a shorthand way of writing binary values, and it allows us to count up using binary in a way that allows us to write to a display like a 7-segment display. So hex is counted like this. Now you thought your algebra teacher was crazy for throwing numbers into math or throwing letters into math. Welcome to engineering. Yep. Welcome to engineering then. Because if you thought it wasn't complicated enough before, oh boy. So, oh, I almost forgot zero. So for hexadecimal, there are 16 characters or 16 possible outcomes. And that means we need four we need 4 bits of data because 2 to the 4 is 16. So you have this is also like kind of teaching how to count in binary as well. 1 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, so this is obviously 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10 or A, 11 or B, 12 or C, 13 or D, 14 or E, and then 15 or F. So that's all the numbers in binary, or that's all the hexadecimal numbers and all the hex values. And that's a simple way to count in binary. The way you count in binary is you just take 2 to whatever, like each bit is 2 to a certain place, and it goes and then you just add them up. So if all of them are 0, you get 0. If 2 to the 0 is only lit up, you get 1. If 2 to the first and 2 to the 2 squared are lit up, then you get 4 plus 2, that gives you 6. So that's how you can count in binary. Um, but this cool hexadecimal system allows us to write larger numbers as a shorthand. So I'm sure you're familiar with the hex key, hex color keys. So let me try to pull this up. What? So one of the most popular uses of the hexadecimal um Hold up. Let me go back. Um, One of the most popular forms of the hexadecimal use is the hexadecimal color code or the hex color code. You've seen it before. Whenever you want to pick a custom color for something, like when you're doing a project in Microsoft or whatever, you put in you drag this around and you see you see the number here changing. That's a hex code. So if I were to type it, so like let's just pick a random one. If I were to say that's what six values. So if I were to say like I want my hex color to be BAD761. If I wanted to be BAD761, that gives me this lime-ish green color. If I wanted to get to a blue, let me see if this is that. If I want to get to a blue, let's see. If I wanted a blue color, I just put a zero there. Put a zero and like a zero. I guess I could do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 7, 6, 1. That gives you that color. So that's the most popular use of hex keys that I can think of at this current time. Let's go back to the other. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that it's like still in use. It's actually useful in some capacity. Um, so that's the hex code. Um, it's very popular with color picking. If you want a very specific color, use a hex code for it. Find the hex code for a specific number, or find the hex code for a specific color, and you can make pretty much any color you want. Um, Hex is also how we write lots of bytes in small bits of data or in like small crunches of space. So you might convert a long binary value that's like 86 or 2048 bits into hex 2048. Oh, my pen, a pen died. Rest in peace, Alpha Pen. Just gonna go ahead and we're hooking all kinds of wires up to my laptop today. Just gonna sit here for a moment while my pen charges. How y'all doing? But that's wild, bro. Man, I would say, oh yeah, go ahead. No. I agree with you. I agree with you. See, but what I would have said was, you gotta know when to just pour the tea, and you gotta know when to spill the tea. You see? Yeah. Man, I did the exact same thing, man. No, he did what? Nah, bro. Dude, wildin'. Dude is wildin'. Nah, that's wild. That's what. Oh, you asking me like what I do? Oh, yeah. I just went and pretty much chilled today. I got a haircut. been a little bit of a experience recently. What happened? Oh, nah, bro. I don't want to know. Y'all don't want to know about that. I mean, if you insist, I mean, like basically what happened was, I came home for spring break and it got a little hectic. Nah, I can't. I can't, bro. Can't. Classified. No. But no, I didn't forget. You're right. I did not forget. I need to hook it up. I need to hook the thing up. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Gotta get that PS remote play. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta grind that out. So yep. Am I gonna win? I mean, I don't know. Pretty hard speed run to beat. Justice 2. I think the world record's like less than an hour. I don't know if I can beat the game in less than an hour. Hey, we gonna go for it though. We gonna try it. Also, this is not sponsored, but I don't know what company I got this pen from. I have no idea what company I got this pen from. I can't remember. But let me find them. Who made this? Who made this? Who made this thing, bro? I don't know who made this. Yeah, I have no idea who made this pen, but this thing is goaded, bro. Honestly, if y'all get an iPad or something like that, and y'all don't want to pay $150 for an Apple Pen, get you one of these things off Amazon. Last 8 hours, charged in like 12 seconds. You see how I just had to have a little bit of banter with y'all, and now I'm ready to write again. Um, but what I was gonna do is I was gonna do like 2048 divided by 16. So if I divide 2048 by 16, that gives you 116. Oh, this is also how you do like how old people do math. Yes, I'm admitting to being old people. 16 times 2 is 32. Gives you 1, 2, 128. And then 16, 16, 60, 64 times 2, so that's 8. So by using hexadecimal, you can take a 2048 bit number and condense it down into 16 or into 128 spaces. That's a lot of space. That is a lot of saved space, like an immense amount of saved space. Um, and then all you have to do is just make sure you have the processing power to get it back to a regular number. Or if you don't even need it back in a regular number, if you can read hex, or if the program you're working with can read hex, you're chilling. If you have it in hex, you're literally chilling the whole time. Okay, so let me review Octal because like I have not used Octal in at least 4 years. So Octal has 8 bits. So you go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have up to seven bits. Um, Essentially the same thing as hex, except it's 8 instead of 16. So its advantage is that it uses less memory and less space, but it's very rarely used as a whole. Um, because we're hexadecimal, you can use I think it's you can use groups of 2 bytes at a time to get everything together. Uh, with octal, you have to like you're stuck with only 1 byte at a time. So you can work faster with hex, but octal is technically a little bit better at sometimes because you have less to memorize. Um, so with all that binary stuff out the way, all that basic binary stuff, let's go ahead and crack into some actual applications. So you might be wondering, like, well, what the heck? What the heck is all the binary stuff for anyway? Because I mean, I'm never going to use it. That might be true if you're not going into like digital control systems or something like that. But but binary has its uses, and that comes in when you have gates. That is very big. So gates are controllable systems that rely controllable systems that rely on digital logic. Digital logic is just binary. That's literally why I spent half the stream talking about binary because that's what digital logic is. So let's just say you have a case where you want only something out if both inputs are true. So let's say we have a n, or we'll say x, y out. So if x is 0, y is 0, you have 0 out. If you have x is 1 and y is 0, you have 0 out. You have x is 0 and y is 1, you have 0 out. But if you have x is 1 and y is 1, you get a 1 out. So what you've just created, congratulations, you have made your first digital logic circuit called an AND gate. Takes takes 2 truths to make a 1. The other one is if well, there's more than just the other one. There's a lot of other ones. Another one that you could end up seeing is, well, what if I just want it if one or the other is uh is true? I want the output to be true. They have 0, 0, 0. So like if both of them are false, I don't want anything out. If you have x is 1, y is 0, I want 1 out. If x is 0 and y is 1, I want 1 out. And if both of them are 1, I still want 1 out. Because like maybe it's like a, I don't know, maybe it's like a fan or something like that. Like it gets hot in the room or something, or if it's too cold, if it's too hot, or if you just turn the fan on or something. I don't know. I don't know, something. It's like a, let's see. It's like it's like someone who wants, if it's like if you wanted eggs for breakfast. Now, if you had no eggs, you get no eggs out. So like this is like the no egg case. If you wanted to have like scrambled eggs, Well, you still get eggs. If I wanted a fried egg, still eat eggs. Or if I wanted like what's it? I guess like a if you cook an omelet on really high heat, it's like frying a scrambled egg. So we'll say omelet, but you still get eggs. So that's kind of like what that situation is called an OR gate. Bro, are you kidding? That looks like I'm terrible at drawing these. I'm so sorry. So that's an OR gate case. Um, Another one you might end up seeing is an XOR gate. So what if I only want an output if the inputs don't match? So like a lot of circuits in houses, when you flip one light switch, one will come on. But if like the light is connected to two light switches, it'll only be on if one is on. So if you have 0 and 0, you get no light. If you have 1 and 0, you get light. If you have 0 and 1, you get light. But if you have 1 and 1, you get no light. This is an XOR gate, and that stands for exclusive OR. So it's exclusively reserved for when it's in its OR case. Um, then you have like your NAND. NAND is the inverse of an AND gate. So if you were to take an AND, so let me see if I can do this like this. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so a NAND gate is the exact opposite. Operates kind of like a NOR, like an OR gate, but not quite. Slightly different. Um, but you can get around it. Wait, hold up. So with a NAND gate, you have everything except a double, like a double true is true, and you put a little bubble there. And that's the same thing with the NOR gate, and the same thing with like an I guess a not XOR gate, but I don't think I've ever seen that before. Um, and that's how digital logic gates can work. Um, Now, you might think about, well, there's all these gates and stuff like that. So how do I just pick the right one? Like, what if I don't have a certain gate? What if I don't have this type of output? There's no need to fear. The NAND gate is here. So you can make pretty much every other gate with every other gate. Like you can make pretty much every other gate with a NAND gate. And I think you can do pretty much everything else with every other gate. But we typically use NAND or NOR. Don't know why they wanted to pick the knots, but they did. And I will forever be confused and slightly irritated by them for doing so. And who is them? It's the engineering people that decided that, oh, you know what would be a great idea if we made everything NAND or NOR, that'd be a wonderful idea, wouldn't it? No, no, it would not. But I believe you can make a NAND gate into an OR gate. Do this. Tie these together. And then that gets tied to another NAND gate. So they'll have like a zero here. It'll pass a zero to here and a zero here. Oh, let me do this. Pass zero here and zero here. This gives us a one out. That puts a one here. If we have a one here, and they'll put a zero or put a one here, that'll give us a zero out, gives a zero. Well, from the truth table of a NAND gate, one NAND zero gives you one, which is the same thing as if I were to put one and zero into a OR gate. Yeah, I still got it. I still got it right here. I'm just crack like that. Uh, yeah, doesn't really matter which way I put it because it'll flip itself either way. But yeah, so that's an output of the NAND properties. Um, Now all these are now put into like these used to all just be like regular gates and stuff like that. Now they're all put into IC chips or integrated circuit chips. Those are great. Those are really great. Until the diagram inside of an IC chip looks something like this. It's all fun and games until the inside of an IC looks like this. It's all fun and games. So the inside of an IC chip looks something like this. Everything makes sense until it looks like this on the inside. I kid you not. I open some IC like what's it called data sheets. Literally looks like this. Literally looks like gibberish garbage. Nah, but it's cool. Cool, right? Nah, it's good. It's all good. Oh, one of the most important gates I almost forgot to show is a NOT gate. So a NOT gate is simply just this out. Put in a zero, you get out a one. You put in a one, you get out a zero. Simple as that. Whatever you put in, it's not that. Um, Essentially, because it's all analog and it all comes back to op amps. So you put a positive into an inverting op amp, and you get a negative out. Wow, doesn't that look kind of like a buffer, or not a buffer, kind of doesn't it kind of look like a NOT gate? There's also a buffer circuit, which is you put a one in, you wait a second, and you get a one out, which looks very, very strangely familiar to this. Wow, who would have thought a buffer comes from an like can make an op amp, or you can make a buffer out of an op amp. So essentially, digital logic is why analog logic works in digital realms. Sometimes there's just two things. Sometimes there's just two types of something. It's either positive or negative. Maybe it's maybe it's shifted or not shifted. Maybe it's a zero or not zero. Maybe it's a high or a low. But all these things you can check for using operational amplifiers, and those create our logic gates. I can't remember exactly how all of them line up with each other, but you create some with logic gates and stuff. It is what it is. Um, but hey, that's all pretty much I got for y'all now. Uh, I didn't see anybody in the chat, so I'm guessing a lot of y'all are on spring break and y'all really just don't want to watch study stuff. But if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment section down below. Um, if you enjoyed this, slightly shorter study session, strike that like a ninja would. And yeah, I like that. Strike that like a ninja would. It's a clean one right there. Yeah, that's the outro right there. But yeah, so if you like to strike that like a ninja would, subscribe today to join the Shinobi, and I'll see all you guys next time. All right.